Hey traders, happy Sunday. Hope you guys are having a fantastic weekend. As always, nothing in this presentation shall constitute a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Trading stocks and options involves risk, and specific financial issues should always be addressed by your financial advisor. We'll kick off here with a daily chart of the Russell 2000 ETF small caps, which is IWM. And it took it on the chin on Friday. If we back up and look to February 25th here, a little black candle, we started to break out finally, and the IWM was underperforming for a while the spiders, the Qs, and the diamonds, they were all rising higher. And then we went down a little bit, tried to get back up. We had a little bit of bearish engulfing, came back down, and then we just kept hitting our head on the 200-day SMA in purple, which is an institutional moving average. And then Friday's plunge. And what's concerning about Friday's move lower is the spike in volume. If it had been, just average volume in here, maybe, 20 million shares or something, it's not the end of the world, but it was 40, and it was the highest volume we've seen since the December pullback, or the carnage in December. At this stage, with the close below the 50-day in orange, which is another institutional moving average, lows of the day, there's not a whole lot of support here. A little bit of consolidation here in the low 140s, but otherwise, I'm not saying it's going to get there, but that's where support is. This isn't looking good. However, even if it pulls back a little further, or whether it stops right there on Monday, this could be a left shoulder, this could be a head, and then over here is the right shoulder. Still could be playing out that way, which would be very interesting. If I use the Russell and I go to a 5-year, now a weekly chart, so now every candle represents a week instead of a day. Let's go ahead and zoom in since 2017. We can see it got above the 50 period. That counts as a little bit of a breakout. We're pulling back. Again, it's forming a right shoulder. Here's the left shoulder. Here's the head. Again, right shoulder here, but there's not a lot of support here. This went straight up, so we could easily come right back down. So on the weekly chart, the 200 period moving average, which is right around 132, $17 lower would be the target. Now, if I go from the IWM and let's say we take a look at something like the diamonds, the DIA, the Dow ETF. Here's 2017 till now. Again, each candle is a weekly candle. We're basically in a big trading range on the weeklies, right? The weeklies never got hurt even 2 weeks ago when the market started to pull back. After this past week, if I zoom in really close, we're not even below the 5 period. So the weeklies are completely fine on the DIA. If we go to the IWM, they're not. We're rolling over. So that's the difference between the two. So let's go back to DIA. And I'm going to say again, weeklies holding up just fine, but now I'm going to go 1 year daily and bring in the daily chart of the diamonds. We did get below the 5-day in blue, the 20-day EMA in red, target, orange, 50-day institutional moving average, purple, 200-day institutional moving average. So if I wanted to keep an eye on the markets on the Dow, for instance, I'd put alerts at 250. I'm not necessarily all that worried if we get below the 50-day, but we take out the 200-day, which is just basically $2 apart. That is bad news, because for how quickly we went up here, you're talking the target down here. It's just technical, not saying we're going to get there. Just like I said before, there's nothing to stop it because this was such a straight line up. Take a look at the SPY. It also finished near the lows of the day on Friday. It got below the 5-day, but didn't even get below the red line. If we break the 20-day EMA in red, we go right to where the 200-day purple, 50-day orange are sort of coagulating, which ballpark is about 272. We get below there, you guessed it, there's not a whole lot of consolidation to back here. Now, I could draw a line from here, and catch a little bit around 260, but that is not much support at all. So let's just keep an eye on this right now, going into this week, whether it's the SPY, whether it's the DIA, or even the Qs, daily chart right now, the bulls still get the edge. Only the Russell, now if I go to the midcaps, are breaking down. So bulls get the edge, but there's definitely a big yellow caution flag right now. Apple's going to have some news on Monday, reportedly about their streaming service. I talked to you guys about Apple on March 11th when it broke out. The stock closed at 178.90, let's say 179, straight up to 195. We hit some, I shouldn't say straight up, we went right up to the 200-day, which was the target. That's what I told you guys. And then we popped above it, got as high as 195 on another breakout, 321, and we gave some back on Friday with the sell-off. Depending what the news is perceived as, bullish, bearish, we'll either get continuation or we're probably going to pull back. It's pretty much that easy. But right now, Apple is still bullish on a daily chart. And just to review some stocks that we talked about this past week, which was TREX, TREX, I said once the 200-day cracked, frankly, the target's down near 55. It is not disappointing. Again, closing at the lows on Friday, target still $7 away, over 10%. And then if you look at Teradata, this is another one that rolled over once it cracked the 50-day. I said to you guys, keep an eye on that. It got back above it on Thursday, but there's no follow through. So it was just one little day up and we roll right back over. Its target's going to be right around the 200-day. SYNA, which is Synaptics. This thing is also continually moving lower. It's back inside the Bollinger Bands in green, and it's still pushing lower. That's how badly bearish this one is. Here is Micron. So I had a question from somebody on this one. I said we needed to see what happened with earnings. It got up and just barely closed right around the 200-day back on Thursday. Friday it was down, but it was sort of, if I zoom in closer, it went back to where the gap up was. It would be natural to come back and fill a gap around 40 bucks or so, 41 or 40, 50. But keep an eye on the 50-day. If we get below the 50-day, that's what would cancel the bullish momentum. But so far, Micron just had a down day. Here's AMD, Advanced Micro. Explosion higher Tuesday, Wednesday, a little bit of a down day. Thursday, explosion again higher. And then Friday, inside down day. Nothing wrong with this. This is still marching higher. Boeing. There is a lot of stuff that's potentially out there. And I told you guys, once not a fixed news event, once a bizarre news event comes out where they could have rushed production, all this stuff, the fact that the two crashes occurred, which are absolutely horrible, terrible loss of life. But when I speak specifically to stocks, that's an unknown event, and you just don't know which way it's going to go. And then it just traces out a pennant, or what we would call a bear flag. And then Friday, with the market selling off, which Boeing helped put the Dow down, we broke out of the flag. This is now breaking out to the downside. The gap's already been filled. The 200-day is only a couple dollars lower, $6, and then it's back down here. This is why I would still want protective puts, maybe going out 90, 120 days, something like that, 3-4 months, because you just don't know how it's going to shake out. Did they rush stuff through? Didn't they? Is it, there's just too much uncertainty, and uncertainty typically breeds sell-offs. And then I had a question about the two financial events I held this past week on Thursday at noon and 8 p.m. Eastern. We hit max capacity on both. I'm getting a ton of emails for another event. So I'm thinking about doing an encore on Wednesday. I'll have more information for you either later tonight or tomorrow by email, and I'll see if I can get another one scheduled on Wednesday, because Thursday sessions were not recorded. I am not sharing those. You had to be there live, because I want everybody there live. You need to see the power of seasonality. It just keeps working. So keep an eye out for that, and then I'll inform you in tomorrow night's video as well. So wish you guys a fantastic week ahead, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Take good care.